Alrighty, welcome back, everybody, to the fourth episode of Christian Sports Talk podcast. Not too much happened this weekend in football. I mean, of course, there's a couple of good games, but other than that, it felt like a tank palooza, which is unfortunate because the NFL seemed like it was kind of tank proof a little bit. I guess not. NFL proved us wrong, but you know, it happens, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, the weekend started with that. I mean, I would say okay, Carolina and Tampa Bay game, and then the Seahawks game and the 49ers game, which isn't really close, and the score was way closer than it really was, and then not much happened on Sunday. A bunch of games that didn't matter except the Saints and Falcons game, which both teams weren't going to make the playoffs, but it impacted the Carolina Bucs game, and the Steelers Ravens game, which kind of saved the weekend. I felt like, I talked pretty hard on both teams before coming in. Um, Still don't really believe in both teams, even though obviously one had to win. Um, the game was a lot. I mean, I always expected a close game between the Steelers and Ravens. It was definitely more higher scoring than I thought. I thought maybe it would be like a 16-13 game or 13-10 type game, but yeah, it was a good game. And also may or may not, depending on how much time we got, touching the Lions Bears game, which was an interesting game. For seeding. I mean, I guess it didn't matter, but I thought Ben Johnson kind of lost the Coach of the Year in that game. Not because he's a bad coach or anything. I mean, he's a great coach. He could be the best in the league when he's in a couple of years. Who knows? But I think maybe Vrabel or Liam Cohen, kind of probably Vrabel, because he has less of a team than the Jags. But yeah, and then we're going to talk about a couple of coaches that have been fired today. It's Black Monday, and all these coaches get fired on Black Monday. Talk about the four that got fired. A lot of people are surprised about the Atlanta coach. If you listen to one of my first podcasts, I told you, I mean, he's going to get fired. But yeah, there's a couple more storylines. I feel like there's a lot of storylines, even though the week of football kind of sucked. But we'll talk about those at the end. But yeah, we'll start off with the Bucs 16 and Panthers 14. That game was pretty bad, to say the least. Bryce Young is painful to watch. I mean, Panthers only had 19 rushing yards and 3 turnovers. You can't win a game having 19 rushing yards. And every time Rico Dowell had the ball, I feel like he was either slipping or falling or, something was going wrong with him, I feel like, the whole game. And Chuba Hubbard has just not been the same since he's got hurt, and Rico Dowell has come on the scene. Which I also think he's a great running back too. Oh, good, not great, good, not great. But yeah, I mean, I think as long as Bryce Young's your quarterback, I don't think you're going to win any playoff games. His stats didn't look too bad, but if you watch the game, like, he doesn't make really good throws. I mean, he's just too small. Like, he I don't know. Everybody sees it. He's just not the guy. Like, one of my buddies, a Carolina Panthers fan, and I'm sure he's pumped. He is pumped for being in the playoffs for the first time in a while, and I'm happy for him and happy for Panthers fans and stuff like that. But at the same time, it might be hell in the first round. They're playing the Rams. I mean, yes, they just beat the Rams not too long ago, but it's. I think Stafford's going to have a day. That defense isn't very good. Carolina, I mean, they're all right. I mean, I thought Baker Mayfield had a terrible, not the best game. He made a couple good throws, and the running game was pretty good for the Bucs. I wouldn't say great, but it was good. I mean, it definitely had a big impact in the game, and that some of those Mayfield the interception he had was so bad, I thought, and Bryce Young's interception he threw it was kind of a good play by the defense, but I don't know how good both coaches are. I think Canales isn't that bad. I mean, he made the playoffs with Bryce Young. I don't think anybody could do that. But I think I don't think I'm happy he didn't. Well, they made the playoffs, so he's not gonna get fired. But I'm happy he's not in the hot seat at all. I mean, last year they had Bryce Young showed some stuff at the end of the year, and then this year he was, he's got a lot of fourth quarter comebacks and stuff, but he had 54 passing yards last week. This week he had 2 something. I can't remember the top of my head. I forgot to write it down. But it felt like it was a lot less than that. I felt like he didn't really complete that many passes and didn't really have that big of an impact in the game at all. But I don't know, like the format is the format. We can't change it, but an 8-9 team's making the playoffs. I know that happened to Brady a couple years ago, and I love Brady more than everybody, but I don't think teams should get in with 8-9. That's ridiculous. Bryce Young had 266 yards. Felt like he had 106. Just watching the game, I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't really impact the game that much like good quarterbacks are. I mean, his rating was 98. That's not bad. And his completion, it was 24 for 35. That's not bad either. But, 19 rushing yards just kills you. Kills you. You can't win like that. And Rico Dallow also fumbled, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them because, I think their roster is not as bad as everybody thinks. I think they got pieces. I think they definitely have a lot to build on. But, I'm talking about them like they didn't make the playoffs or something, but they're in. And for the Bucs, I think the Bucs just had, I don't know how much they should change their roster. They definitely need help with some age. They got a lot of age guys like Chris Godwin. I mean, I don't think he's that old, but he's just had way too many injuries. I don't think his body's going to last that long. Mike Evans is the back nine, closer. He might be done 2-3 years, maybe even this year. I don't know, because he had a lot of injuries this year. They had a lot of Jamal Dean on defense. He's a great corner, and he just battled injuries all year. I felt like Levante David is going to retire soon. I mean, I'm surprised he's still playing this long, and he's still very productive. But their defense is just not that good. I mean, yeah, they won the game, and Panthers only scored 14 points, but their defense is just not that good. They've had so many injuries. With Vita Vea got hurt for a little while at the beginning of the year, and Cansey just came back from IR. And like I said, just Jamal Dean injury, I think, really hurts their corners. But and I think Winfield got hurt for the beginning of the year too, but I don't remember. But I think he did. But I think a lot of the struggles down the stretch were on Mayfield. I think Mayfield, like, he started off coming out the gate strong. Like, they're winning all these games in the fourth quarter, which, I mean, at the time it seems great, but think about the long run, it wasn't sustainable, obviously. But he was playing at MVP level. He was making all these unbelievable crazy plays. He had the cape on his back. He was carrying their team. Abuka was looking great. Bucky Irvin was looking great. Rashad White was even looking good. And Cade Otton slowly, I mean, he's a good tight end. They had that third running back that was good, Sean Tucker, and then McMillan also got hurt too, their receiver. And then I feel like ever since the Bills and the Patriots games, I feel like they're just not the same anymore. The Bucs, as in the Bucs, or no, really, actually, the Detroit game on Monday night that had to be in the year. I think that was maybe week 6 or 7, and then they went on that bad losing. They started 6-2, and then they ended up going 8-9. So they only won the last 2 games of their remaining schedule after being 6-2, which is crazy. But I don't think Bowles is the answer. Yes, like I said last podcast, he's a great defensive coordinator, but I don't think, like, the Jets, I mean, yes, the Jets, but he was a disaster in the New York Jets. He was terrible. People would make fun of him. I think being a Patriots fan, we made fun of everybody back when we had Brady, but, he was bad. I think that he was only the head coach after Brady left, after Arians left, because Brady was there, and that's who Brady wanted. But, I don't think they need to make a change. They didn't make a change. They already said they're not going to. I disagree with that. I think they should. I think Stefanski would be a good fit, but he wouldn't want to go back to Mayfield probably. Him and Mayfield probably don't like each other, or Mayfield doesn't like Stefanski. But maybe Mike McCarthy, even though I guess, not good reports out there about him, I guess, recently. Nothing personal or anything, just with football reasons. But, I thought maybe if Tomlin got fired, or they would never fire him, but, I mean, maybe Harbaugh. Harbaugh might be in the mix. I mean, I think him and Lamar definitely have some beef. But in the way I don't know. I think if they got blown out by the Steelers, I think it would have been a different story. I think maybe Harbaugh has one more year. I think maybe it's probably time to move off because he's been there for a while, and I feel like they're just not getting over that hump. But, who are you going to hire? I mean, Stefanski may be a good coach for them. But I don't know. I think that we'll see what happens with the Bucs. I don't think they have too much money to spend. I think they have a lot of big contracts on that team, and I think they need some help in the offensive line a little bit too. But, I'm someone who likes Mayfield, but I think he just didn't play good down the stretch, and I think a lot of it was on him, to be honest with you, and injuries, and maybe Bull was third. But yeah, and then the other game that day was Seahawks 13 and 49ers 3. That game was, I know it was only 13-3, but I thought Seattle locked up the one seed. Of course, the winner of that game was going to get home field advantage to the playoffs. And, Darnold didn't play pretty good. Good, not great. He was 20 for 26. That's pretty good for 198 yards. And he got lucky on that one play where he fell and was trying to head it off and hit off the player and was rolling around. And he jumped on top of it, which Bryce Young didn't do in the Panthers game. But I don't know. But the running backs on Seattle are just amazing. They had 180 rushing yards, and Seattle had 23 first downs for San Francisco's 9. And I'm pretty sure San Francisco didn't have a first down in the first quarter, which is crazy. And they got lucky because Myers, their great kicker in Seattle, missed a field goal too. But Darnold, I thought, he made a couple of bad passes in the first quarter and, down by the goal line, stuff like that. But he really settled in. And I thought Brock Purdy was just running for his life the whole game. I felt like he was just pressure on him a lot. He only got sacked 3 times. I mean, that's still not a great number. But I feel like it could have been a lot more, and especially that play at the end of the game where he got absolutely drilled. And he thought he was hurt, but I guess he's fine. But, San Francisco, Purdy didn't even play bad. That's the thing, too. Yeah, he had that interception, but that was kind of a fluke interception where, McCaffrey should have caught. Yeah, I was a little behind him, but McCaffrey should have caught that ball. He tipped it and it went right into the guy's hands. And it was, like I said, a fluke interception. But, again, San Francisco, 53 rushing yards. You can't have 53 rushing yards. You've got to have a little bit more than that, especially with McCaffrey. And I think McCaffrey down the stretch, like I said earlier in the podcast, he's just wearing down the stretch, and I don't think at this age he's a workhorse anymore. I mean, they've had to rely on him. They've had no choice, but he's just not built for that anymore. Down the stretch, through the season he was able to do it, but now that we're down the last couple of weeks and going to the playoffs, I don't feel really too confident about him being able to last too much longer. But it was just so. I felt like that game felt like 40-3, not 13-3. It was so bad to watch. I mean, I thought San Francisco was actually going to win just because Sam Darnold I feel like in the big games always can't come through, and I like Sam Darnold, but let's call a spade a spade. He's just not a winner in those big games. But Purdy, the thing is, it wasn't even his fault at all. The defense on the 49ers is just so bad. Every third and long, the Seattle had a 3rd and 17. They ran the ball to get a first down. They ran it. That's crazy. That's crazy. You shouldn't be able to run the ball on 3rd and 17 to get a first down. He pretty much said the Seattle coach said we're going to play field position and we'll punt from here. And then they got a first down. Then ended up working out for them. That's crazy. But and I saw a crazy stat. I like Shanahan, but he's kind of a loser. He's kind of a loser. He blows a lot of leads, and he also, when they're trailing, entering the fourth quarter, he's 1-39. 1-39 since 2017. That's crazy. If they didn't find Brock Purdy and they got a gift from the football gods when they drafted Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft, I think he would have been fired. I don't think I think the team probably would have went in the drain because Garoppolo's not the answer. Maybe they would have found somebody to work, get him, 9 wins. But that owner there is really passionate. He wants to win now. Same as the GM, John Lynch, great GM. I don't think he would be fired if, maybe he would because that terrible Trey Lance trade that, blew up in their faces. But I don't know. I think Seattle, like them getting home field, is really, really good for them because we all know how hard it is to play in Seattle. They definitely have home field advantage up there, and a lot of those teams, like say, I think in the first round they'll probably get the winner of the 4-5. So probably maybe the Rams, or maybe if San Francisco wins, or let's be real, the Panthers aren't winning, but. And maybe the Packers win. I don't know. The Packers-Bears game will be a great game. Maybe the Packers win and they play the Packers in the first round. And, we'll see what happens, I guess. But I think Seattle, depends on how Darnold plays, but they could win the Super Bowl. Their defense is just so good, so fast, so physical. I feel like they're always killing people. They're hitting it so hard. Especially their defensive line is all over the place. They're all big and fast. They can get in there. They remind me of the Miami defensive line actually from in college, but yeah, I think that it just all, like I said, it all depends on Darnold. Yeah, and the next game I want to talk about was the Steelers 26 and the Ravens 24, and that game was a great game. I picked the Steelers to win, so I'm kind of happy about that, even though I don't like the Steelers. As a Patriots fan, I hate them, especially Rodgers too. But, and of course Rodgers the whole game is yelling at everybody because he's such a prick. He's not a nice guy. I know you Steelers fans are going to hate me for that, but I can't stand him. But Rodgers threw the ball 47 times. That's crazy for a 42-year-old. That's crazy. Sorry, I need to drink water. It's really dry here in Nebraska. And then Rodgers in the game, burning 2 timeouts and stuff like that too, trying to get people off sides and stuff like that. Like, come on, dude. Like, you can't burn out 2 timeouts at the end of the game like that. Like, if Harbaugh didn't choke, people might be looking back to that and being like, hey, maybe score, I don't know. But then he's like yelling at the sideline about his helmet. But then, dude, the play clock, you can't talk to anybody when the play clock turns to 15 seconds. So, like, what are you yelling at for? You can't hear anybody anyways. It makes no sense. I don't know. And then, but Rodgers, like, he played good. I mean, I got to be fair. He played good. I mean, I thought that, some of his throws were bad throws. Like the one that MVS caught that was, like, behind him. He made, like, a kind of a lucky catch there, and he was, like, bobbling and stuff. The Steelers' defense was just, like, it's not very good. Like, those 2 Zay Flowers touchdowns, which were great touchdowns, especially the one where Lamar, like, split the 2 defenders, which wasn't an easy play. Like, they had him. The defense didn't do anything wrong there at all. Lamar just split them. And that was, like, vintage Lamar coming out again. But that interception they had was, like, so crazy that the Lamar threw it, and then I think Hayward tipped it, and then the guard on Falele or whatever his name is on the Ravens tipped it back to TJ Watt. That was a crazy interception. I was like, oh my God, wow. I kind of felt like the Steelers were going to win that game after that. They always have some, like, I didn't realize it before the game. I didn't see this until today, which is Monday, that the priest went in the end zone and was, like, throwing holy water in the end zone. And then I actually ended up being in the end zone where the kicker missed the kick at the end of the game, which, speak about that, like, that kicker is not a good kicker. I mean, he's a rookie, he's young, and you saw the quote where he said that as soon as he kicked it, he knew it wasn't good. I feel bad for the guy. He's a young kid. I don't want anybody to really go through that, especially in a away stadium, and especially with those Ravens fans. They're probably just trashing him online and sending him all this terrible stuff. But, last year, and as long as they had Tucker, they never had to worry about kicks like that. And now I think this is a whole new ballpark for Ravens fans because they had the best kicker of all time. And all of a sudden they didn't because he got a little, I'm not going to say what I want to say, but if anybody knows the story, I think you know what I want to say. But Baltimore only had 12 first downs in the game, which is crazy. and they still had 24 points because of those 2 touchdowns that Lamar threw, those crazy bombs. And Derrick Henry had 126 rushing yards too. Like, this guy's just a beast. He's so good. I mean, that's not even that good for him. Really, I mean, that's pretty good for him, but 126 yards is 126 yards. That's crazy. I mean, at his age, for a running back to still be so big and so good and do that, very impressive. And Lamar, I thought at the end of the game, kind of came back to vintage Lamar with that like I said, the touchdown. He split the defender, and the second Zay Flowers touchdown, and then which Jalen Ramsey totally messed up on. He bit on the run. He thought there was going to be a run play, and then Zay Flowers is wide open for his touchdown. And then the throw at the end of the game to Isaiah Likely was perfect. He threw over the defender and high enough for Isaiah Likely he had to jump and catch it, but the placement was perfect because he needed to be throw in between 2 defenders. The defender was behind Likely, and the one was in front of him, and you need to get the right spot where Likely had it, and that was a perfect catch. As soon as he caught that, I was like, oh, game over. And then I remembered that Tyler Loop is the Ravens kicker, and I was like, oh my god, this is Steelers about to pull some dark magic again to make it to the playoffs. But yeah, and the poor Ravens fans. 2024 that had the Flowers fumble in the AFC Championship, and then 2025 last year they had the Mark Andrews drop in the playoffs against Buffalo in the divisional round, and this year they have the missed kick. It must not be easy being a Ravens fan the last couple of years, especially with that MVP quarterback in Lamar just crapping it when you need him to. I mean, he didn't play bad yesterday, except that one. I mean, that one throw when Hopkins was like wide open on the sideline, and they were like miscommunicating, and you know, Hopkins didn't know if he should run forward, and Lamar didn't know what he was going to do. Well, usually you see quarterbacks like pointing them, like, go that way, that way. Lamar didn't do any of that until after the play, and then Hopkins is like sitting there like, what the hell, dude? I mean, but at the same time, Lamar saw him not running, so like, why didn't you just like throw it to him? But the throw, even if he went upfield, was going to be out of bounds. He threw it so high that it wasn't an accurate throw at all. But, you know, I think, like I said about Harbaugh earlier, I think that this whole Lamar, Harbaugh, like, they're definitely not on the same page, friction thing. Like, you guys, I don't care how much, you guys can hate each other. You can't trade Lamar Jackson. Yes, he struggled this year, and yes, he wasn't healthy either, but you can't trade him. I mean, he's your team. Yes, Tyler Huntley's a good quarterback, but you guys see him everywhere else. He's a terrible backup quarterback everywhere else. He's a really good backup quarterback in the Ravens. You got to keep him as your backup. He can't be your starter. And who are you going to trade Lamar for? The number 1 pick and take a flyer on a quarterback that you don't know is going to be good? Even like Caleb Williams last year, you didn't know he was going to be good. You don't know if any player is going to be good ever in the draft. It's like throwing a fishing pole into the ocean and into the water. You never know what you're going to catch. You don't. Is he going to be good? Is he going to be bad? Is he going to be big? Is he going to be small? You don't know. And you just can't risk that. You just can't risk that at all. You got to figure it out. Lamar's got to get his crap together. Harbaugh's got to get his crap together. I think Harbaugh's problem, and I say this about Tomlin and Nick Sirianni in Philly, they rely too much on their coordinators. They got to figure out, their sides of the ball aren't good. Harbaugh's side of the ball is special teams. That's the thing. He doesn't have a defense. It's not defense or offense. So, like, that's why he relies on his coordinator so much, which I don't know if nowadays you can do that. Look at all the good coaches, like Mike Vrabel, defensive guy. But he's turned into the offensive guy, which is crazy. You never think that would happen. But he picked one side of the ball to be good at, and it's offense. Look at Shanahan. Yes, I was talking about how he wouldn't have been fired if he didn't have a quarterback. But, Brock Purdy's and Josh Allen. Look at Andy Reid. Look at Andy Reid was good before Mahomes. Let's not forget that. Clock management, not his best thing, but before that he was a good coach. Look at Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, we're not sure how good he is yet. Yes, he looks good. Yes, he had the most passing yards as a Bear ever, but it's the Bears. They don't have good quarterbacks. But look at Jim Harbaugh with Herbert. He's got his side of the ball good. But yeah, I think the Ravens' injuries on defense also, I feel like they were dropping like flies. I feel like everybody was injured for them yesterday, especially that guard that came back into the game and he got his like bent back. Like, oh, that looked painful and terrible and awful. And I was like, oh my God, like that guy's done. He just broke his back or something. little did he know he comes back into the game soon. But that was crazy. And Kyle Hamilton, I mean, say what you want about him. He's a great player and stuff like that, but he's always injured. I feel like every time I'm watching a game, he's hurt or injured, or he gets hurt in practice or something like that. And his teammates have a nickname for him that since he's always playing hurt somehow. I mean, he's always hurt. You can't rely on him. But as soon as he came out of the game, I felt like momentum shifted to Pittsburgh because their defense just started getting exposed. But yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers are going to get killed in playoffs just because the Houston's defense is just so good. They're not going to be scoring any points. I think Stroud is not bad. I mean, he's closer to first-year Stroud than last-year Stroud, for sure, in my opinion. But, yeah, I'll be interested to see what the Ravens do from here, if they're going to clean house maybe with their team and keep the coach, or I don't know. But, I kind of wish the Ravens made the play. Well, as a Patriots fan, I wish the Steelers made the playoffs because I think the Patriots can beat the Steelers a lot easier than the Ravens. But the Ravens, I mean, if they play like they did last night, I think they can beat some teams in the playoffs. I wouldn't say it's, 100% that they can beat anybody, but they definitely have a better chance than the Steelers. But it's the Steelers. Maybe they pull something out of their hat and then beat Houston, and they're playing the Broncos in the second round. Who knows? Or the Patriots. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. Yeah. And the next game I want to talk about was Falcons-Saints. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but, the Falcons needed to win so the Panthers could make the playoffs, and if the Saints won, the Bucs would have got in. Obviously, the Falcons won, so the Carolina got in, and, I know that the Saints lost, but I'm telling you, I like that quarterback in the Saints. I'm not saying he's going to be, a franchise guy, but 23 for 35, 259 yards. I mean, he had an interception, but he got sacked 4 times. That's a lot. And he had 34 rushing yards on only 3 rushes, which is good in a touchdown. But I like him. I mean, yes, he's 26, but I like when quarterbacks are experienced when they come into the NFL. I feel like the more experience they have, the easier the transition is, for sure. Not with every guy, but a lot of them, I feel like. I think that Jawan Johnson, if he didn't fumble at the end of the game, maybe they have more points and it's a closer game. But I think they're fun. I think they're going to be a fun, entertaining team next year, and especially in that division. They could win the division, depending on what the Bucs do. Because I still like the Bucs, even though they missed the playoffs. They just need to get healthy next year and stay healthy. That's the thing, stay healthy. But it'll be fun to see what they do, especially that coach. I mean, their coach isn't bad, even though. I talked about the Titans game when he was throwing instead of running the ball to end the game, which bothers me. Coach is trying to outsmart the room when you don't need to. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Panthers definitely got lucky that the Saints were playing the Falcons. The Falcons were one of the hottest teams going into the last week of the season. If they piece this together all year, maybe Morris would still have his job. But yeah, I thought that was just an interesting game. Especially you saw Cam Jordan have the Falcons shirt instead of Falcons. It said "fail" than Kim's, even though he just lost to them. But you can tell. I mean, at his age, Cam Jordan still hates the Falcons, and he was all over the place during that game too. He had a sack, and he only plays 59% of the snaps, which is pretty crazy. I mean, his time is almost done, and he had 10 sacks this year. But yeah, I thought it was funny to send in some trolls to the Falcons fans after his coach got fired, and at his exit interview, he was wearing it. But a little bit of loser talk because they lost to the Falcons. But yeah, and then Lions-Bears game. Lions 19, Bears 16, and Lions won at the end of the game after the Bears came back. Caleb Williams, the comeback kids. I feel like they came back and made them a little nervous. But yeah, I mean the Bears are lucky that the Eagles lost too because they could have been playing San Francisco and they just played San Francisco and lost to them. So since the Eagles lost, the Eagles stay at 3 and the Bears stay at 2. And, Bears, Green Bay, first round, that'll be great. I feel like Johnson, like I said earlier in the podcast, Ben Johnson lost his job a little bit. Uh, Not his job, excuse me. The Coach of the Year award. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having trouble speaking it, but Coach of the Year award. Just because I think Vrabel and Liam Cohen, they had better records and better teams. Especially Cohen had a better team, but better roster. But Vrabel did more with less, I feel like. So I feel like it might go to him. I know it sounds biased. If it was up to me, I don't want my team to get any awards. I feel like that means they're not going to win a Super Bowl for some reason. I just have that feeling. I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, that game was great. I love Ross St. Brown. He's just a gamer. These guys didn't have to play this last week, and they wanted to go out there and play. Sorry, my cat's meowing. St. Brown had 139 yards and a touchdown. Oh no, excuse me, he didn't have a touchdown, and had 433 total yards. Like, that's crazy. That's a lot. And it had 72 plays versus Charlotte's 52 plays. Like, I'm surprised they didn't kill him on that. That's how bad they are. Not bad, but how much difficulty they have. But I think pretty much my take of the game is that Ben Johnson lost the Coach of the Year, which is okay. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't matter really at the end of the day. But yeah, those are my game reviews. And then I just want to talk about a little bit about the coaches being fired this week. We got Arizona and Jonathan Gannon. I mean, I'm not surprised. If you look at their roster, they actually have some players, especially on defense. They have some players, and the receivers are pretty good. They have James Conner, but he's kind of on the back nine. He got hurt this year really bad. Their quarterback situation is just awful, awful, awful. And I feel like they're also another team that has a ton of injuries all the time, especially in the secondary. They have a lot of good secondary players, but they're just always injured. And, Walter Nolan looks good on their defense. They're a young defensive tackle. Their left tackle is good. Paris Johnson, he's a young guy. He was in the same draft as C.J. Stroud a couple years ago, and Will Anderson. And, I like their backup running back, Trey Benson. But they just need to figure out the quarterback situation. I saw today that they have a deadline for March to see what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. I don't know why they're waiting until March. Just make a decision. He's done. He's going. And as soon as they put him on IR for his foot because it was hurting him again, it was a soft benching. They didn't want him to play. Brissett was playing good at the time. Yeah, he's not the guy, but I don't know what else they're going to do at quarterback, really. Firing Gannon is not really the answer. It's because they're not going to be able to do anything at quarterback after that. But, maybe they go trade for Tua, and maybe Tua pulls something out of his hat or something. I don't think that would happen. I'm not too confident about that. But maybe trade for Mac Jones or, someone like that. Or they draft someone in the draft and it happens to be good for them. I don't know. But they lost this. They went down the stretch having a big losing streak. I feel like they just had to make a change. That owner there is kind of a joke. They don't really spend money and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think I'm not sure who's a good candidate for that job because I don't think anybody's going to want to go there because they don't really have much to work with as in quarterback, and really that's all that matters, I guess. But and their GM and their owner, I'm not sure if they fired the GM or not. They probably did. But their owner's not very good, and it's kind of a cloud. But yeah, and then next team I would talk about, which everybody knew was gonna get fired, but Pete Carroll. I mean, Tom Brady just hired him because he was the last guy out there. They really put all the chips on the table for Ben Johnson, and after Ben Johnson said no, after Ben Johnson said no, they had to go after somebody, and I guess they picked him. I mean, him and Belichick are just hanging up. I know these guys that are football junkies that they just can never hang it up. Football's their life, and it's kind of sad to see that they have to always be with football because they're just so addicted to it. They want to be involved with it so much. It's a little sad, but I mean, I gotta give him credit for trying at least, but that situation was not good from the start. It really wasn't his fault. I don't really expect him to do anything really with that Raiders team, especially as Geno Smith, their quarterback. I mean, I didn't really have much expectations with them going into the season, but I think it's definitely the most desirable job on the market right now, either them or the Giants. Giants had their interim coach. They fired Daboll during the season, but because a lot of people think the Giants quarterback is better than the Raiders job, but what do you know that Jackson Dart's going to stay healthy? You just don't. I guess since you have him already, they might be a better job, but the Raiders have a chance to get Fernando Mendoza right now, so I think Fernando Mendoza will probably be better than Jackson Dart because I don't trust Dart lasting a while. I mean, he went to the Tet like 5 times in his short amount of games he played this year, which is crazy, and he missed a couple games with a concussion too. He's just not going to last. So I think Stefanski would love to go to either the Giants or the Raiders, probably the Raiders more than the Giants, but probably because of Brady. I bet Brady's desirable for coaches, even though I don't think he's doing a really good job. But yeah, and then Cleveland obviously fired Stefanski. I think a lot of people were surprised about this, but what are you gonna do? Stefanski, I feel bad for him for being fired because, the owner paid how do I say this? The owner paid a bunch of money to Deshaun Watson. We all know how Deshaun Watson is, One, he can't stay healthy, and 2, he got a lot of baggage, as in personal baggage, the stuff off the field. It was a disaster from the start, and it really wasn't his fault. It was the owner's fault. And they drafted 2 quarterbacks, which I guess can be his fault. I don't know. I guess that Stefanski's already going to speak with the Falcons, Giants, and Titans. I'm surprised the Raiders aren't up there. I bet they maybe will eventually come up there, but I bet he'll be hired in a heartbeat. I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, he won Coach of the Year twice on the Browns when they have nobody. I mean, he went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. Let's not forget that. And then the last guy that everybody's surprised about, Raheem Morris got fired in Atlanta. Well, they finished off the year strong. You can't do that. He's such a nice guy, stuff like that. Nice guys in football, who cares? You can be nice, mean. Can you coach my football team? Yes or no? He can't coach the football team. Don't care about personality unless he's Bill Belichick and an absolute prick. Okay? 2, you see the games against the Bills and the Rams, and they can be that good, but you can't beat the bad teams. You can't be a coach when you do that. You can't. That's as an owner. What are you supposed to do? And yes, the owner's a clown, but I feel like there's so many owners that are clowns in the league. But his clock management is terrible. He doesn't know when to call a timeout, when not to call a timeout. His quarterback situation, as soon as they signed Kirk Cousins to the four-year, $180 million contract, then drafted Penix, I feel like that had firing written all over it. You can't do that. What are you doing? And also their defense was good. That was the side of the ball. It was really good, but they didn't really make it good until this year. And they had to draft 2 guys with 2 first-round picks in the front line because they didn't know what to do anywhere else in the last couple of years. So they just had to put all the chips in the table. Yes, it worked out, but why couldn't you do that before? I guess a lot of that's the GM's fault as well, but the head coach and GM work together. Let's not forget that, guys. Sometimes the head coaches have more control than the GM, like the Patriots, the Vrabel, or Andy Reid, or teams like that. But yeah, I think Stefanski is the number 1 name out there right now. I think we'll see what happens with Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, and on the Ravens. And but yeah, that's all the firings I wanted to talk about. And there's a couple storylines I want to talk about, which was I think Stafford won the MVP this weekend. I hope Drake May doesn't win it because I think MVP and Super Bowl don't ever align. I feel like you either win the MVP or you win the Super Bowl. So selfishly, I want the MVP to go to Stafford, but he threw 5 touchdowns his last week, and he almost threw 50 touchdowns, which is crazy. So I feel like you kind of got to give it to him that'll be good for him. I mean, I like Stafford. I'm happy for him. He's been through a lot, but a lot of the stuff on the Lions where he wasn't getting help, a lot of it was kind of his fault because he was taking this huge, big contract where maybe he didn't deserve it that much. He deserved to be paid a lot, but maybe not a ton at that time. But yeah, I mean, they had a great season. He had a great season. He had a couple of games where he struggled, especially the Falcons and the Panthers game. But also two NFC South teams, which I don't know how he struggled against them. But yeah, he's probably your 2026 MVP. Another storyline I want to talk about was the Bengals are bringing back Zach Taylor. Not a surprise. Their cheap franchise doesn't want to fire somebody else because, Zach Taylor's probably takes some cheap contract that, that's probably easy for the owner to pay, and the owners don't want to have to pay someone on the top of the market like Stefanski or something like that, even though Stefanski would be a great fit with Burrow. I think that would be fun to watch, I think. And especially their defense is so bad. I know that's not his side of the ball, but their defensive coordinator towards the end of the season has been getting a lot better, Al Golden, and since that Patriots game, really. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know how they can keep taking him back. And he's been coaching there for 8 years too. 8 years. That's crazy. How is he still coaching after that many years? Another quick thing I want to talk about was the Raiders getting number 1 pick. Obviously, I think that makes them one of the most desirable jobs. I guess, like I talked about earlier, the Giants are too. But, I feel like I want them to get Mendoza. I want Mendoza to be good, but, that division is just so hard. I'm not sure how he's going to be unless he's, as good as Herbert and Bo Nix, and I don't think he's going to be as good as Mahomes. No one is, but even though Mahomes had a tough year. But I'm happy for them. I want the Raiders to be good. I feel like if the Raiders are good, they're fun stories, stuff like that. A couple of years ago when they added like Gruden, Derek Carr, that was fun and stuff like that. And then they had to fire Gruden, of course. But that was a fun year, and I feel like it's good for the league if the Raiders are good. So I'm hoping the Mendoza's good and they can have a bright future there. Another thing I want to talk about was Myles Garrett got the sacks record, and I think that's just cool. I like Myles Garrett a lot, even though he's frustrated with the situation there, which is also his fault as well because he took this big contract. As soon as you took that big contract, you knew you were going to get traded. So you can't be like bitching and complaining about, we're not winning and stuff like that. You chose to be there, dude. What do you expect? It's the Browns. You wanted the money over winning. That's fine, I guess. That's not what I would do, but who knows? I'm not getting offered all the money he was, but I don't know. I thought it was cool. And then he got it with 5 minutes left. We're getting nervous at the end. Is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it? And then he got it, and the whole team celebrated with him. It was just a cool moment, and I'm happy for him. I think he's one of the best defenders of all time. He's definitely the best defender in the league right now. And a lot of my Steelers fans are saying, he's not as good as T.J. Watt. He's a lot better than T.J. Watt. Come on, guys. He's a lot better. Let's be real. I know you guys are looking through your yellow tinted glasses, but come on, he's better. Another thing I want to talk about was also Milton Williams said after the game for the Patriots that he didn't expect their turnaround to be so fast and be 14 wins. And I would say Milton, 100% of the people would agree with you. Not 99, not 10%, not 50%, 100% of people would agree with you. No one thought the Patriots would be this good. I'm happy this good as a fan for them. It makes my Sundays a lot more exciting, a lot more fun, a lot more. I look forward to it after every game. I'm ready for the next week already. It's been a hard couple of years. I can't imagine being a Jets fan. It's only been like 5 years they've been bad. Not only, it's a long time. But I can't imagine being like a Jets, Giants, Raiders fan or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, no one expected the Patriots to be this good. I'm excited. I think they got a good matchup with the Chargers in the first round, but I wouldn't underestimate Jim Harbaugh. I wouldn't be surprised if they won in the first round. The only game that would surprise me is if the Pittsburgh Steelers. The only game I would be surprised is if the Carolina Panthers win. All the other playoff games, I wouldn't be surprised who wins. I think it's just so open this year. It's so even. Yeah, and also I have an 8-9 take. Okay, teams with 8-9 records shouldn't make the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, if they're the number 7 seed at the end of the day in the playoffs, that's fine because that means all the other teams suck. But you can't be a division winner in 8-9 and be hosting a playoff game at the 4 seed. You can't. If you win the division at 8-7 or 8-9, put them at the 7 seed. I know it messes up the whole format. I know you got to be even and stuff like that, especially nowadays with crap going on in the world. Everybody's got to be fair. Everybody's got to be even. Everybody needs a participation trophy, but it hurts your product. NFL, I know you know that. That first Saturday game was the trash game, and look where the Carolina Panthers landed. But on the early Saturday game, which no one's gonna watch. I mean, of course, I'll watch because I'm a diehard football fan, but yeah, and yeah, and also the one last thing I want to talk about with a couple of college things was Chambliss on Trinidad Chambliss on Ole Miss reached a deal with them to return next year if he gets granted 6 years. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I wish college players only played 5 years max. Yes, he played Division II, so I wouldn't really care if he played the 6 year. I know it's very hypocritical, but I don't know. I feel like Ole Miss has been through so much that they deserve it a little bit. It would be fun to see, especially next year. I mean, he's just so good. I think he's so good. I think he's taking more steps every single week, especially in the SEC. And it'll be fun to see him play Lane next year in LSU if they play him. I'm not sure if they do, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy that players are reaching deals before they can even know if they're playing another year or not. That's just the NIL transfer portal season we're in. And yeah, there's two other random things I want to talk about, which was told you guys to watch that Nebraska-Michigan State game last week on Friday, and look who won, Nebraska. The biggest win in their program history, and they're ranked in top 10 now, inside the top 10. They had a big win today against Ohio State. Watch out for the Cornhuskers. We're coming. But no, seriously though, I mean, it was fun to see. That game was crazy to the end. It was low scoring, typical Big Ten, physical game. And that arena sounded so loud. Oh my God! And you saw Rick Bass after the game say that they couldn't hear each other even talking in the court next to each other because it was so loud in there. That's cool. That's fun. That's what college basketball is about. That was fun to watch. That was cool. I felt bad for the guy at the end of the game that missed the 3 throw to lose the game for them, but because I like Michigan State. But I'm just happy they won, Nebraska. It'll be fun to see. Like I said, John Rothstein said if they win Nebraska wins a tournament game this year, that they will go to a bar in Lincoln and buy happy hour for an hour. I'll be there, and Coach Hoiberg said he'll be there too. So, they're picking up our tab. So we're all going. And then there's one last little story I wanted to say at the end. I had a little accident today. If you guys might not know, I have a 6-month-old son, and I dropped my wife off. She was hanging out with a friend at the house, and Roman, my son's name is Roman, and he really likes to drive around the car because he likes to sleep and stuff like that. And he was sleeping, so I was driving around. I was getting a little tired, and I kind of just wanted to chill out, so I just pulled in the driveway, and was gonna wait for him to wake up. And I'm sitting in the driveway, and he eventually wakes up, and he wakes up, he starts screaming, crying, and stuff like that. And if you guys have kids, it's a little stressful sometimes. And it's our first kids too, so I'm still I'm not home that much with work and doing stuff around the house and stuff like that. So I'm still getting used to. I know it's been 6 months. I'm still getting used to the crying and stuff like that a lot. But he doesn't cry that much, but he's good. But he started crying. I got a little stressful. I opened the garage door, and the garage door wasn't up all the way, and I backed into the garage door with my fiance's car. So wasn't my brightest moment, and the garage door ended up being broken. I didn't hit it that hard, which is good, but we had to call the repairman at Omaha Garage Doors, which is a great guy. He was good, but I did back into the door. Yeah, the guy, my fiance called the number. He came out instantly, fixed the garage door. It was great. It was good. I didn't need any new parts. It wasn't that expensive. The guy worked very fast. I got really lucky that we didn't need any parts or it was super expensive or something like that. But yeah, I mean, not my brightest moment. Definitely something I thought I wouldn't do. I thought maybe that was something my fiance would do or something. But but yeah, when I first hit it too, it was so loud. I thought it was so loud, but I thought maybe I hit a trash can because there's a trash can next to our garage door when you back in and stuff like that. But yeah, it was not my brightest moment, and I was very nervous that it was gonna be a lot worse. And luckily, my fiance's car had no damage on it. But yeah, I got really lucky. And yeah, that's I think that'll be the episode today. Well, I'll have a little bit of a prediction of the playoffs coming up soon. And also a prediction of the college football playoff that's coming up on Thursday. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I hope you guys have a good week and talk to you later.